Welcome to Sublevel C2. I have found a couple of red flags for multifamily properties, investors, and managers during my time in the business. They're definite signs that someone is going to make your life more difficult and labor-intensive than it needs to be. Save yourself some hassle and learn from my mistakes. First are properties that claim to be Class A. There are many investors who believe that their refined taste in interior finishes is enough to justify them charging triple the median rent. That is not how the market works. So there are a bunch of luxury properties out there with a very low occupancy and serious cash flow issues. And the investors can get real creative with attempting to solve those cash flow issues. Generally speaking, occupancy decreases as price increases, and subsidized properties have essentially guaranteed full occupancy. The trend is for Section 8 and Section 42 management companies to be better operators than market rate companies because subsidized housing is inspected by HUD and is required to be compliant with building codes and basic maintenance standards. So, subsidized housing is in the business of building science and legal compliance, while market rate rentals are often only in the business of sales. A lot of property is managed by salespeople for salespeople with little understanding of buildings, and they're not even the good salespeople. The smart money in sales understands that there is usually more net profit in high volume, low margin, low volatility transactions, which is why top salespeople aren't selling jewelry. They're selling contracts for bulk Coca-Cola. Vacancy in general is my second red flag. A good management company can turn any unit in under a month and can turn most units in under a week. Turning is the process of fixing and cleaning units in between tenants. If a management company has a vacancy that lasts longer than a month, it's because either they can't turn units or they can't sell units, either of which are a huge red flag. They either have an inflated ego that has goaded them into thinking that their choice of paint colors justifies an above-market rent, or they are too cheap to supply the requisite materials or labor to turn units. Either way, they're just awful. My third red flag is a vinyl or fiberboard trim installed anywhere but on concrete or CMUs. If the company is cheaping out that much on trim, the plumbing and roofing probably looks a lot worse. Small properties can easily hide millions of dollars worth of deferred maintenance, and neglecting the easiest stuff is an obvious tell. Number 4 are non-digital documents. I don't think that any paper documents are acceptable for any application under any circumstances. The two reasons why they're kept around are that there are many property managers in the late stages of dementia who struggle with new technology, and there are many lazy employees who enjoy the plausible deniability associated with the possibility of paper documents getting lost, wet, or eaten. Lost, stolen, misdated, or misdelivered paper documents have historically been a major source of excuses for why employees have not been doing their jobs. You can remove these excuses by going paperless. Electronic records and electronic communications contain many layers of transparency and accountability that many people dislike. Paperless documentation also reduces legal risk, reduces the labor associated with organizing and transmitting documents, and helps guarantee that all the required information is collected from vendors, tenants, and applicants. Tenant portals often deny work requests without tenants providing detailed notes about the complaint, permission to enter, the presence of pets, preferred entry times, the unit number, contact information, and other essential information that office staff are often too lazy or too busy to manually collect. Vendor databases often contain off-hours billing rates and emergency contacts that aren't often provided on the napkin scribbles where we used to keep the vendor lists. All this data is also immediately accessible by entire teams, and that removes the need for entire distribution networks of physical media. Many accounting, filing, and tenant communication tasks are also mostly automated within integrated software suites like Yardi or AppFolio, which can eliminate entire departments. Modern property management software provides tremendous gains in productivity while increasing the quality of service to tenants. Putting a turn board on a whiteboard is a goofy kitsch for people who couldn't finish their teaching degree. Keeping a turn board in a Google Sheet saves at least an hour per turn in manual data entry and employees walking back and forth to the office. If you ever see a turn board hanging on a wall, you should know that it's a shrine to inefficiency and corporate fraud. Companies that manage predominantly small properties or single-family homes are my fifth red flag. Most of the big established management companies own and manage primarily new large properties because the operating costs and unit cost of new large properties are significantly lower than the operating costs and unit costs of older, smaller properties. The price that management companies can charge for rent is competitive and inelastic, but operating costs and unit cost are something that you have a lot of control over and that you can push down a lot. New buildings built to modern codes with modern materials and methods save money in a myriad of ways. Their plumbing rarely clogs, corrodes, or floods because of the use of PVC, sanitary teas, cleanouts, non-galvanic supply pipes, unit shutoffs, and a variety of other improvements in material science and building codes. Their windows don't sweat, condense, and mold, and their showers are one-piece fiberglass or vinyl, not tile glued to drywall. Old buildings require significantly more labor and materials to keep operating. Small rental properties also have a bunch of problems. Mainly, their cost-to-income ratio is worse. Let's say, hypothetically, that the median bedroom in your area rents for $1,000 a month. You can charge more for extra amenities or reduce your unit cost for that bedroom in order to increase your margins. A single-family home can be seen to be an amenity because you don't have any upstairs neighbors to deal with, and that may be worth a couple of extra $100 a month. But when people talk about amenities and housing, they're usually talking about stuff like a pool, a gym, or a walkable commute. Single-family homes and small housing complexes have none of those amenities, so most people won't pay over the median. Many large apartment complexes or buildings often have a gym, a pool, and a walkable commute, while also charging less than the median. This is because the unit cost per bedroom decreases exponentially as the property gets more dense. They can also afford to have staff on site full-time with a stockpile of spare parts, tools, and appliances without having to drive and shop for materials when doing work on units. These cost structures are why the smart money and all the large institutional management companies invest in large buildings, while all the rookies invest in small rental properties and single-family homes. There are a lot of small mom-and-pop management companies that go under and declare bankruptcy because they don't know the business, the cost structures, the maintenance schedules, the accounting, the legal exposure, the software, or the myriad of other things that you need to know to make it in building management. I don't like to work with the managers of small properties because I know that they don't know the business. And yes, I know that capitalism is rigged in favor of big institutional investors and against small landlords who just want to live the American dream of exploiting the working class, just like everyone else. But the system is also rigged in favor of college-educated and board-certified surgeons and against chiropractors who just want to cure your VFib with essential oils. Building management is a lot like medicine, where we should have some respect for institutional expertise. You've probably heard headlines of Blackstone, a large institutional investor, buying a bunch of single-family homes. They were for a couple of years after the pandemic, but stopped in September of 2022. While I assume that they represent smart money, I don't think that they were ever buying single-family homes with the intention of long-term management. They were buying homes with the intention of flipping a short-term liquid asset in the same way that someone trades corn futures or stock. Because that is what Blackstone does, and that is what Blackstone did. The people Blackstone sold these houses to are flunky Grant Cardone ripoffs, who is a flunky Dave Ramsey ripoff, who is a flunky Edward Jones ripoff, which is a flunky Blackstone ripoff. Once you get stupid investing advice on YouTube, it's been filtered through a long series of cheap copycats who don't understand how Blackstone works and don't have access to their sophisticated financial instrumentation or free money from the Federal Reserve. And this brings me to my fourth red flag, which are dumb YouTubers who use the wrong terminology. There are certain words that people in the business use for things that YouTube influencers don't. A major offender is the weird way in which people describe a rental unit. People will be like, I bought a Lambo by renting 38 doors. Someone in the business would say that I have 38 units under management. If someone can't even get the vocabulary right, don't take their advice on how to become a millionaire with passive income. The building management field is a large and complex ecosystem with many specialized trades, including software engineers, accountants, and hydrologists. It doesn't need another person trying to get into management who doesn't know the maintenance schedule on a roof. We already have plenty of building managers who are ruining structures through negligence.